Dirty Leather Baseball Show with Clint and Danny. This is the second episode in a row. The intro is not quite ready, so bringing another kind of awkward intro, introducing ourselves here for episode 2. Maybe by next episode, by week 3, we'll have the intro, but not for this time. Danny, you got anywhere particular you want to get started tonight on any particular subject, or?
I mean, I kind of want to talk about Bryce Harper trying to fight an entire baseball team.
All right,
well, that'd be pretty impressive. I want to.
No, go ahead.
I was going to defer to you since you are a Braves fan who, don't like the Phillies. So yeah. I wanted to get your take on the Harper situation.
Well, I think that's an easy transition to say that I'm going to kind of label this as this week's grind my gears. What was it? Pat said the see it buddy of the week. I hate to say that I love that. Obviously, Braves fan, me and all my friends, we hate Harper. That's part of the fun. To use a wrestling WWE term, he's the heel. He's kind of the fun guy to hate. But I love that. And even the more seeing it surface level, I love that. But when I dug a little deeper into it, for example, I got 2 quotes here. I got a quote from the pitcher, Jake Bird, which because none of you knew his name, and from Harper himself. I had 2 quotes I thought were interesting about it. Colorado reliever Jake Bird, quote, "You guys have seen the past. I get a little emotional on the mound sometimes. Philly is a good team, and it was a big moment, and I got a little emotional out there. Probably a little too emotional." Okay, first comment I have for that one, it was a big moment. We're 40 games into the year, and you're playing a regular season game at the 18-25 Rockies against the Phillies. It's not like that was kind of lame to me, not to discredit it. We're talking about a team on pace for 68 wins at this rate. Talking about a big moment. But to continue the quote, "That's the first time in my life I've ever been a part of that, and it was not ideal. After I had my little celebration thing real quick and pop out, I thought it was a normal walk back to the dugout. Then I saw him, Harper, coming out. He is a great player, and he plays with emotion. I love that he plays with emotion. He's a player I look up to. Obviously, in the future, I hope I get to compete against him and go head-to-head." I would segue that into Bryce Harper's quote that wasn't quite as much, "Hey, mister, will you sign my baseball? I'm glad to be here." Harper, end quote, "I get emotional. I understand getting fired up for an inning and stuff like that. But once you make it about a team or make it about yourself and the other team, that's when I got a problem. You guys saw my reaction. I wasn't very happy. He did what he did, and after that, he kind of flew away and went into the dugout. He gestured like that, come on, kind of thing, but that was about it. Heat of the moment kind of thing. So once we kind of got out there, he kind of flew into the dugout and just went away, and nobody really saw him after he did what he did. I never want to put myself in the danger of getting hurt. But like I said, when anybody does anything to my teammates or anything like that, I just don't agree with that. And that's how I react when people come after my team." To me, with respect to, let me look up his name, Jake Bird, that was a little, I really hope I get to if you'd asked Bryce Harper after this interview, said, "Bryce, tell me that guy's name," he could not have told you Jake Bird's name. Let me look at you, Jake Bird. That to me was, I don't know, the end part, I love that. Talking basically, he didn't say it, but just from watching it, I think for Harper, a lot of that was kind of like, I might listen to some people talk shit to me, but I'm not about to have the Colorado Rockies talk shit to me. And like I said, I mean, I put down here, I had already mentioned how the Rockies are 18-25. I put them on pace for 68 wins. Talking about the last 4 years, a team that's had 68 wins in 2022, 74 wins in 2021, 26-34 record in the COVID year, and 71 wins in 2019. That, to me, I can imagine Harper probably about, and this is the last thing I'll say about it, probably about like how I felt last week having the the schedule release for the NFL. People are picking each other. The Arizona Cardinals talking trash to teams like calling Lamar running back and making a 28-3 joke to Atlanta, for example. Won't lie, that was kind of one of those moments. Like I said, I can relate to Harper where you're like, I'm going to listen to a lot of people talk trash to me. Think you might need to sit this one out and take a lap, kid. But I loved it.
Yeah, I don't know if Jake Bird knows his name. This is another situation of you get the moment. Harper's a hothead. Get him a little heated a little bit, and then we've seen Harper try to fight an entire San Francisco Giants team before, so it's not like the first go around with Harper. But it's always great when you see Bryce out there and trying to fight an entire team.
Yeah, and kind of mentioned I can't remember the second player. He mentioned how JT Realmuto kind of had his back, came out of the dugout. I was just thinking to myself when he said that quote. I was like, this is like your classic, like, we're all at the bar. Oh man, I'm gonna go fight that guy. I'm gonna go fight that guy. It's like, and in reality, 9 times out of 10, JT Realmuto probably would have been the one cleaning that up. But Harper brought the heat.
And just like most baseball brawls, it's just a lot of pushing and touching, and then
hold me back. Hold me back, bro. Yeah, it was class. You're right. That's a good point. It was classic. Hold me back, bro.
It was more, unless you got like Odor trying to knocking Batista right in the face, like 8 years ago, or whatever that was. But
funny you say that. I was just watching that today. They said it was like 7 or 8 year anniversary, and I was sending that to my buddies, and I was like, God, dude. Not to sound like a total tool, but you got to give it to him. He freaking clocked his ass on that one.
Yeah. out of the million dust up or brawls we see every baseball season, that's the one that you just keep going back to every year now. Because, all right. So I think that's a little bit enough on Harper. Do you want to talk about Aaron Judge, a little incident on Monday?
Yeah, I think that's a good segue into the Judge comment.
Yeah. So I actually went out and wrote an article on this today, so if you can find it on Stadium Rant website. But we have Aaron Judge on Monday night. It was a 6-0 game against the Toronto Blue Jays. The Yankees were winning, and he glanced a little bit towards the dugout / first base coach, and then hit like a 424 homer over the wall. And everyone wanted to say, he was getting a sign from either the first base coach or the dugout that what
everyone
pitch was
wanted
coming.
to act like he was the 2017 Astros immediately.
Yeah, and it came out, and the Blue Jays reliever said that he was that he found out he was tipping pitches. The Yankees caught on it, and it's kind of been a story here. I didn't see no trash cans being banged or any cameras in center field. So if the first base coach picks up on you tipping pitches, then that's on the Blue Jays. I can't sit there and say that. And then Aaron Judge tried to give you that little nonsense of, I looked in the dugout because they were heckling the umpire. Then when he was heckling the umpire,
I'm going to see the quote right here. Actually, I'm glad you said that. Quote: there was kind of a lot of chirping from our dugout. This could have very well been my grind my gears segment right here. There was kind of a lot of chirping from our dugout, which I really didn't like in our situation of the 6-0 game, Judge said. Quote: I said a couple things to some guys in the dugout, and especially after the game. Hopefully it won't happen again. I'll take things that never fucking happened for 500, Alex, because that conversation never happened. And even if it did, Judge, your own mom didn't even believe that was what you did. Like, that was weak, man. I was – yes, you know how I really silenced these guys and I really assessed that we were talking too much trash? I did my little sneak glance into the dugout during – you know what? I said that this could have been my grind my gears segment. Oh, come on, man, on my NFL Sunday countdown. That's a come on, man. Like, that's the best you got. That was weak, man. I'll tell you this. Aaron Judge can – if all of his peers or his spouse, his friends, whatever, they can know that he's not ever lying to them. Because if he was, he'd be like Pinocchio's nose, dude, because that was weak. It's like, nah, man, y'all are catching signals. I'm like you. I didn't understand people crying and whining about it. I hate the Yankees. If you don't pull for the Yankees, you more than likely hate the Yankees. But even I couldn't chalk that up as the Yankees. Like, nah.
It's a 6-0 game in the middle of May. No Yankees players chirping an umpire. No, just come out with things like, yeah, I glanced. I mean, I there was no chirping, and I mean, yeah, that was a little funny how. And then you had the Blue Jays broadcast. They pointed out the eye, the little glance. I mean,
well, that's like I had this quote right here as well in his response to the Toronto broadcasters you just mentioned, and he said, "quote I don't see why it's a story, to be honest. If their broadcasters want to make a deal about it, they can say anything they want. I'm not happy about it, but people can say what they want. I've still got a game to play. I've got things to do." Okay, Judge, that was some great teen angst right there, man. Nobody understands me, and I got things to do. It's like, come on, dude. I like him for the most part. I was like, that was weird. And I didn't include this quote in my notes, but he followed that up something along the lines of like, yeah, I had some choice words, but like, I'll kind of keep that to myself. It was like, come on, dude. Like, I'm just gonna take the high road on that. It was like, yeah, bud.
But the good news now is that the Yankees will never heckle the umpires again because Aaron Judge is taking care of it.
Like I said, conversations that never ever happened, Alex. Like that. Yeah, I hopefully it won't happen again.
Yeah.
Really good diverting of the conversation there. That was very weak. I had one last note in here I thought was interesting. I'm sure you've seen the clip on Twitter. It said the following night, Blue Jays manager John Schneider was yelling at Yankees third base coach Luis Rojas for leaving the coach's box. Like you had said, they mentioned the first baseman, particularly potentially, thank you, picking it up. He also yelled, quote, "Shut up, fat boy," to someone on the Yankees side. Quote, this is a quote from John Schneider. "In terms of the league, we just want to make sure every coach is where they should be on the field and confident that they will be moving forward." Yeah, I mean, give me that straightforwardness. Don't give me this bullshit about Aaron Jones. Like it is.
There's a lot of talking going on for a stadium that has over 30,000 people in it, and you can't hear anything.
I read Schneider's quote there, and they were picking up on signals. That's our fault, unless they're out of a coach. If it control, like we worked in pitches, that's our fault. The coach is out of the box and giving himself an advantage. That's a different conversation. But I like them throwing it out there. I like the clip of him talking smack about fat boy back at I don't know. I gotta go with the Jays on that one, while saying I don't think the Yankees did anything wrong.
Yeah.
But to have gotten some of those weak quotes out of Judge, I was like, nah.
Yeah, these stories kind of just write themselves in the middle of May when there's absolutely nothing going on, and but we can talk about another team today, at least the Tampa Bay Rays. So we got to cover this.
No question. Then I definitely, if I had to pick one topic going into this evening, this was the one I think I was the most excited to discuss. I sound like a babbling idiot right here, but I mean, I look down today at the standings for the AL East, and it reads as such: Tampa at 32-11 with the lead. Orioles at 27-15, 4.5 back. Jays 24-18, 7.5 back. To be 24-18, 7.5 back is disgusting. Yankees 25-19, 7.5 back. Sox 23-20, 9 games back. The thing that really blew me away, because after that I said, okay, I want to go look at Spot Rack, and I want to see the payroll for these teams for even more perspective. But you and I sit here and surface level can say, oh my God, look what the Rays are doing. But when you dig even deeper into it, you're like, if you were a black and white person, say like you work in accounting for a living, black and white, this makes no sense. When you're looking at numbers, I mean, I'm looking at payroll. Tampa coming in at $74 million. Baltimore, $66 million. Blue Jays, $214 million. 3 times that of Tampa. The Yankees coming in $279 million. So what, about 4 times that of Tampa? The Sox, $179 million. The fact that the Rays are even competing in this division, let alone 32-11, I thought that was a typo when I looked it up. Hell, to even add to that, because I kept going deeper, I said I want to look at the top 5 payrolls in baseball and the bottom 5 to see where it lines up. The Mets, this is hilarious. I have to mention this because this is pathetic. The Mets at the largest payroll in pro baseball history at $347 million. The second closest is the Yankees at $279. They have that, but don't have my math completely perfect here. But that's roughly what, 60 to 70 million before second place, and they're coming in at 20 and 23. I mean, what, 347? I mean, that's an extra 270 million on Tampa. You know, but to keep going. Bottom 5 payrolls. Oakland at 60 million at a 10 and 34 record. That's pathetic. That's embarrassing. Baltimore at 66 million. Tampa 74 million. Pittsburgh 75 million. Cleveland, your Cleveland, 91 million. So Baltimore and Tampa are the second and third lowest payroll in the whole league and have the 2 best records in baseball.
Mm-hmm.
I know we're talking about the Rays, but I need to sneak that in there for the Orioles as well. When the last couple of years they've been developmental and blown it up and young. I mean, that's ridiculous. I keep going even further into it. You know, for perspective, the league average is somewhere between 106 and 79 million. It's between the Red Sox and the Cardinals in terms of where the spot is, right there in about 16. To keep going, I mean, this stat, and I'll quit rolling for a minute. It says on here the Rays have an OPS, and that's on base plus slugging for anyone that doesn't know, of 854. In the past 100 years, that is the best OPS of a team for perspective. Second place being the 27th, third place Yankees. We're going that far back. And it's really not even close. And I said even a step further. I said I want to have a stat that's a little more relatable to the modern baseball fan, somebody that's maybe not as much of a historical geek. This straight from somebody. So I didn't pull this up myself. If comparing the Rays to teams from 100 years ago doesn't fully satisfy, let's put this in another more modern perspective. If you took Pete Alonso last year, 271 average, 352 OBP, 518 slugging, and you took the Rays average for their starting lineup right now, 274, 345, 509. And if you don't remember the numbers I just said, that is nearly identical to the point it's alarming. I mean, that's 271, 274, 352, 345, 518, 509. That means in summation, you're getting production of this Rays team, this ball Rays team. You've got a 1 through 9 lineup giving you Pete Alonso production. in the toughest division in the league right now in terms of competition. If I could be corrected on that, but I'm pretty sure that's how it's.
It's pretty.
I had one more note in here that I just got. I mean, to go back to what I had mentioned in the last 100 years, how they stacked up with teams in terms of the OPS. It says the Rays are just the 17th team since 1901. So what, 120, 122 something years to begin 29-9 or better. 17 of the other 6 already concluded. 12 went on to the World Series. 7 won the whole thing. So 7 out of 6 the whole shebang, and 12 out of 16 made it to the dance. They don't even have their ace. I know Glass now is a guy that's banged up a lot. But all these things considered, I'm blown away, man. This is so exciting. You would think should be in the dumpster with the A's of the world in terms of their spending. I think with how they've started for this team to, obviously they're going for a World Series. Obviously they're going for a pennant. To not get deep into the last couple of teams is a failure with this start, man. Even with I mean, obviously there's going to be some cooling. For me to sit here and say that this is going to be the best lineup 1 through 9 in the last 100 years for a full 162 game season is probably a stretch, but it's not like this is 5 games in, man. We're a fourth of the way through, if my math's right. I mean, that's all I got as far as speaking on the Rays. That's what I brought with me, but that was the story of the night. It's all that.
Yeah, it's kind of like you look at what the Rays are doing like with the spenders in the AL East, where you have New York and you have Boston, and they just and Tampa just finds a way to compete every single year. It's kind of like for New York is kind of like, what are you doing wrong? Because I mean, Tampa, you could say, has had more. I mean, they went to the World Series in 2020. I mean, New York hasn't been a World Series since 2009. So Tampa keeps finding ways to succeed with paying their guys peanuts, while you have New York every single year that goes out and has some huge payroll. So it's been pretty impressive what Tampa's been able to do here. And I mean, it's a nice blueprint for other teams to follow. I mean, like, I'm obviously a Guardians fan, so we have some money. We have some money issues, but too. But I mean, like, Tampa they produce arms like it's nothing. I mean, they just produce an arm, trade them, produce another arm, and it's just they're throwing out starting pitching like anything. I mean, in their lineup, I mean, and then they're getting a lot of guys from. I know they got Yanni Diaz from the Guardians organization a few years ago. I mean, the guy's built like a god. He couldn't hit the ball in Cleveland, and he goes to Tampa Bay and he just rakes. So they've been able to find the guys or other organizations that just didn't make it, and it's been a great success for them. It's just when are they going to put it together and win the World Series? That's their next thing. And I'm obviously sitting here on May 17th. You could say they're the favorite to win the World Series, but we've seen this rodeo many times with them, and when you play in the toughest division, it's a little difficult.
Well, and it's hard to establish depth down the line when the heat in the kitchen gets hot on your ass. I mean, they're getting into October, November, September. I mean, dude, what do they have? This is a third bottom payroll in the league. I mean, I'm not trying to compare this to football. I'm not trying to do this. We're sitting here talking about baseball, but it's like you had the third lowest spending in the league, you know, whether it be dead cap. My God, my Falcons were doing good to damn trot out a team last year that could hang, man, let alone being first in the division. I mean, I know it's different sports, but I mean, it's still the same standard of just awing at excellence. You know, I said Moneyball, but it's like, I mean, 32-11 in this division. There's no scrub in this division. It's not like, oh yeah, well, they're bullying the A's every 2 weeks. Like, no. I mean, we're sitting here saying, oh man, the Sox are in last place. They're 9 games back. They're 23-20. They'd be in, you know, if I looked at every other division, there'd be some divisions there in the lead or second place with heat on the team ahead of them. I'm getting repetitive at this point, but that blows my mind. That was definitely the thing today. We were discussing some things we want to talk about. That I was like, I gotta talk about this Rays thing, man, because I don't understand it at all, but I love it.
All right, so we just talked about one of the lowest payroll teams that succeed in baseball. Let's talk about one that doesn't have much success, and that would be the Oakland A's. But we're not going to call them Oakland for much longer. It does look like they are going to be heading to the Sin City and will be a member of Las Vegas. So they're going to follow their Oakland Raiders to Las Vegas. So how do you feel about just Oakland losing their base? I mean, Oakland's lost every team. I mean, the Warriors moved from Oakland to San Francisco is not that far of a drive, but it's just another team gone in Oakland. And
the closest I can relate to this is when Atlanta lost the Thrashers, which sucked. To this day, we're all like, man, we want a hockey team so bad. That's the closest I can relate. But to have done it more than once, that's just heartening. I imagine that for the city of Oakland, the fans, people that have care. At the same time, that this writing was so on the wall. And I could also imagine being in that perspective, kind of, it's like, how do I put this? How much longer do you want to keep doing this? Because the management's not going to put any finances or any resources into this team in Oakland. They're not trying to win. That stadium is disgusting. That is the worst stadium in the league. The town. I mean, I used the one Braves example off the top of my head, but it's like you said earlier. You were just mentioning, you were talking about the Rays, and you said, oh, they're pumping out arms, and really develop this arm, get him to an elite level, trade him out. Hell, that's the A's, man. It's like you use the Matt Olson just as a one-off example, but it's like it's like they sell to the fans similar to how we've seen some teams like we've seen Cincinnati do this the last couple of years. We've seen Pittsburgh do this the last couple of years. Oh, it's a rebuild. Where the farm's real strong. It's coming. Comes a line. It's like, yeah, and anybody worth it. It's almost like a hamster wheel, and that's all this was going to be in Oakland. I mean, they'll now do like the Raiders, like you mentioned. The whole sell job will be, Vegas. It's going to be different. It's going to be different. You know, obviously exciting. I think for me, it's harder for me to get excited about a team going to Vegas, and I could be factually incorrect here. But in terms of speculation, I don't feel that. I think of Vegas as travelers. I think of Vegas as people coming and going, week visit place. It's harder for me to imagine the committed fan base that's, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know. I have a little harder time. I mean, obviously, you know, the Vegas Knights, for example, have had a lot of success. That wasn't a team that moved. That was, but just to mention, there's success to be had in Vegas. I haven't seen it yet with the Raiders, but I mean, I don't really care. It doesn't affect me that much. I hate it for the people of Oakland, but the writing was on the wall. I'd almost rather rip the Band-Aid off and keep kicking the can down the road. I mean, they're 10-30. What did I say a second ago?
10-34, I think. Something like that, 10-34.
I mean, that's pathetic.
Yeah, that's not a.
That's pathetic.
Yeah, and it's not even like they're bad because they're just bad. It's because they want to be bad. It's not like you know, you just have bad season. No, they're doing this on purpose. And I mean,
you have to you have to try to suck that bad at something. We talk about tanking in sports. It's like, I'm not even sure you could tank purposefully hard enough and go 10-30. They're 17 back. We're like 40 games in. I said black and white earlier. It's like, Matt, that's like, in terms of probability, it's like you got to work hard to do that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a Browns fan, so I've had some tanking in my past. So, we don't
even know how to tank in Atlanta. We screwed that up, and we win 7 games, and that's kind of our enough.
Don't worry. Every time the Browns tried to get a first pick or get a quarterback, they got some bums. So it didn't matter what you do there. But yeah, it's not fun to tune in every single night and your team is out there to lose. I mean,
just to add to what you're saying currently, I had right here, Oakland is averaging less than 9,500 fans at home this season, by far the lowest among the 30 teams. And I didn't get the second place number, and I should have. But I mean, just think about that. You've been to a game. I'm surprised it was 9,500. And I realize don't believe everything you see on the internet, but just seeing images on Twitter or articles or whatever, it's the kind of shit you're like, do you guys have 2,500 people there?
Yeah.
People joke about, you know, I had 2 A's tickets on the dash of my car, and someone broke in and left 4 more. I mean, I don't think you could give it away. I mean, I'm stunned. I'm not convinced that 9,500 number isn't inflated about like some combine heights. I mean, And then I had a note right here. A's president Dave Cabal has said he hopes to break ground on a new ballpark next year and open the venue in time for the 2027 season. The A's have a lease at Oakland Coliseum through 2024, and they could play the 2025 and 26 seasons. This killed me. At Las Vegas Ballpark, home to their AAA affiliate Aviators. You guys you're following. You're going to fit your pro baseball team in terms of attendance in a AAA stadium. I mean, my closest perspective to that, I lived in Charlotte for quite a bit of time. Charlotte Knights are a White Sox affiliate. That is one of the nicest minor league stadiums you could imagine. I mean, that is like really nice. Like, I know it's the Braves and we're good, but this is my closest perspective. If you try, that's not possible. I mean, I don't know. To me, it just felt weird versus like imagining when the Raiders made the switch, and it was, oh man, people are blowing up the phones to get season tickets. We're packing in this new place. I'm like, doesn't that just feel kind of like wet towel over your head? Like, oh, we're gonna make the switch, but hey, I'll meet you at AAA. It's $1 beer night. Like, I don't know. That just when I was reading through that today, prepping a little bit, and I was like, okay, but it's about the best they could do.
Yeah, it's like when the Chargers moved to LA and played in the soccer stadium, and they had 5 fans show up, and it was all the opposing fans. But if the A's are going to play in a AAA stadium, they do have a AAA team, so I guess it will work out for them.
Yeah, I mean, and that's kind of like, it's funny you said that. It's like we were talking a second ago. I said about every time they develop somebody and it comes along, it's like, oh, well, we got to trade it because we're going to do the hamster cycle of, we're going to gain assets. It's like, at what line do you have with this transition going from Oakland to Vegas where it's like, no, we've got to start accruing talent. We can't keep with this move, you're kind of setting yourself, you're running out of things to sell. It's like, because the move to Vegas bought, the Raiders following the fandom. Those people are loyal beyond words. I mean, but something like you get stale in a sales job. Your sales pitch gets stale. It's like my Georgia Bulldogs, man. Before Kirby finally broke through and did it, it was stale. We were tired of hearing about, oh, we're going to win this year. It's like, comes a point, man, you got to rip the monkey off your back. You got to do the damn thing. They got to start. I mean, it's not even that they have to be competitive. 10-34, there has to be a line. If you ask me right now, say, Clint, name 2 players on the A's, I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
That's not great.
It doesn't help that they tank. They don't care about winning. They're on the West Coast. Nobody watches them in the first place. And now with the move to Vegas, I mean, you're going to have to get a guy like a Bryce. You're going to have to get a larger-than-life baseball player to play in that city to get people in.
But you're not going to stroke the check to do it.
Yeah, I mean, like, I know Bryce Harper's on Philadelphia, but I mean, like, he's from the area and stuff, so something like that. But, yeah. But if we want to do one more topic here, real quick. So we had the new rules in baseball, more like the pitch clock and the shift. What's your thoughts so far on the pitch clock?
Well, first I'd preface this by I think you're a little more informed than me on the question. I'm going to defer to you some, but if you ask me for more of a surface level thought thus far, I kind of like it. I understand why people don't. How do I put this? I'm still feeling it out because I'm catching myself. I'll get a little bit selective. It's like there's guys where I catch myself being like, I think you're being a little dramatic, but I think about like, when you go golfing and you got that guy on the tee box that's taking 4 consecutive swings and lining up and doing all shit. And you're like, dude, you suck anyway. Just hit the ball, man. You're doing all this work so you can get wet in the pond or go to the damn beach in the bunk. You're terrible. It's like, that's kind of how I feel about the guys that are those guys. I'm enjoying it. The pace of play, I'm enjoying it. I already have to battle so hard to even be able to watch the Braves with all this, Bally nonsense.
Oh, yeah.
By the time I have to battle, going through some jank backdoor site, ooh, don't tell on me. Like, no, I'm not paying $100+ a month for a Bally subscription or whatever. Like, by the time I do all that, I do like the fact that they've shaved. I mean, this is not factual. This is speculatory. I mean, in terms of the average game length, I mean, they're shaving 30, 45 minutes off of it. I totally pulled that out of my ass, by the way. So you might say it's wrong, but I mean, I think that's pretty relatively close. I'm into it. I like it. I understand that they got to work on it some, but that'd be as much of a comment as I have at this point concerning it. What about yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I love it. How many times do we have to watch somebody take 3 minutes in the batter's box, adjust themselves, and then a pitcher, he had some like 50-minute wind up, and then he throw over 7 times. It's just they didn't.
Yes.
They didn't like change the sport. They just took all the dead time out of it, and it's been brilliant so far.
In baseball, more than any sport, you're gonna battle the old gray. Oh, back in my day, we used to climb through the snow, wet so we could get to school 4 miles. You know, you got a lot of people, back in my day, this is how we played baseball with a bottle cap and a broomstick. You know, it's like people that you're like, dude, it's not, be quiet, old man. You know, like,
yeah. And it's better.
ridiculous.
It's better for them anyways because they go to bed quicker.
Hell, I got a 5-month-old. I go to bed quicker. I'm asleep as early as old people now. You mentioned the West Coast. I don't even pretend to watch a West Coast game this season with the Braves. Are you kidding me? Like, no, I'm not. That's not happening.
Yeah.
You know? Like, so I can relate some to that with people. You're right.
Yeah, I mean the game starting at 7:00. You're done by 9:15, 9:30. It's like,
How it should be.
If they want to fix the sport with time, we got to work on college football next with all their
selling enough Budweiser and Michelin tires to drag it out.
Yeah.
That's like my old man used to talk about the glory days. About you go to Georgia football, so he'd say, man, the games would be at 1:00, and hell, you were done and out of there by 4:00. You were heading to the bar, and it's like, he says, I'm like, what, you fucking serious, man? It's like, this is the truth, because I haven't. It is. That's a good point.
Now the game started at noon, and it's halftime at 4. It's like, And then the shift. We'll talk about that. I mean, it's not like the shift. I feel like when they put the shift, like when they started doing the shift, it was like, all right, batters are going to learn how to go the other way. They're going to be better hitters. Yeah, that never happened. They never wanted to learn how to hit the other way and everything like that. So baseball had to come up with an idea to make more runs and baseball more fun again. And so they banned the shift. I mean, I haven't had like a huge impact of like, I can't believe this rule is a rule. Like, I mean, it doesn't do anything for me. Okay, like instead of being out last year, you get a single now. Like that's pretty much what it is.
It's kind of like you said about, for me, the people it would impact making the shift. I know what it was. You said, they didn't make any changes. Like the example I think of my brain is Freddie Freeman. You know, Freddie comes up. It's like, okay, we're gonna take the third bagger, and you're gonna be close to second for a shortstop. We're just essentially gonna double a shallow right fielder and go short to second. And so, to your point, it'd be, oh man, Freddie's gonna start poking it down the line. If you're enough that they're that drastic, the changes haven't been there. Like versus like say last year when we were more starting to have that conversation about say a guy like I can't think of another one I'm talking about, like a Freddie Freeman where it's just like blatant all the time. You know, I don't have any too much particular opinion about it. I think I don't have a ton to offer. I think it's kind of like I said about I can admittedly get picky with that with the people I think it applies to. Some guys where it's like the infuriating thing for me, and I know this isn't how it works, like, well, what I just said about the Freddie scenario, the amount of times I catch myself sitting there watching the TV and I'm like, man, just lay one down. Just lay one down. Like, I probably run a 6-second 40-yard dash and I can get 90 feet to first base as wide open as this is, man. Lay it down. You know, but I say all that to add to your point about, they thought they were going to be changes. People were going to do stuff like that. They're not going to do stuff like that. You know?
Yeah. It's like the whole third base is wide open and all right, I'm going to hit it right towards the first baseman. It's not even like, it's like the best hitters in baseball doing this. It's not like it's just some scrub that just came up from minor league. That was the most frustrating part. And you had to just watch it. I mean, just lay down a bunt. I mean, at that point, like, it was just everything. I mean, I feel like baseball is trying to get the younger fan back into the sport or into the sport. I don't know.
Yeah, you know what's really encouraging to get the young fan back in the sport, back to my point of, I've been a Braves fan my entire life. I'm in my upper 20s. And the fact that it is so difficult, and I know you could say, don't be a cheap bastard and get this. The fact that it is so difficult for me to cut on a Braves game, that there's a lot of nights where I'm just like, I'm not in the mood to play with this technology stuff. Yeah, that's really growing the game for, say, because when I was the 7, 8, 9-year-old kid getting going, you cut on TBS, you're ready to roll. You cut on TNT, boom. And I'm not saying it's got to be that easy. I know this in the early 2000s, like, hey, old man, shut up. We don't care about, but that doesn't really promote the game. Last week, not to even get into that, but last week when we were talking about the Angels, we were talking about how just the lack of commercialization nationally in terms of capitalizing on Ohtani and Trout. The East Coast kids aren't. I mean, they're seeing about those guys some, but not. It's hard for me to fathom when you look at a league, say like the NFL or the NBA, who are doing such a good job of appealing to the younger crowd, to the people that aren't committed to a sport or a fandom yet, bringing them into it, commercializing players, commercializing superstars nationally, globally. Undoubtedly, baseball's the worst. It's sad.
Yeah, and don't forget your Peacock and your Apple Television that you gotta sign up for and watch.
I thought that was a joke the other day when they made the announcement about the live stream for the wild card NFL game.
Yeah, I thought that was like, I have no idea.
I mean, are you serious? I mean, I know it's all money. It's all about money. I know it's all about money. I get it. When I saw that, I was like, yeah, and this will be the time my Falcons finally decide to, go get the wild card spot, and I'll be, about like the Braves games, trying to use, some jank backdoor website or something, but cross that bridge when I get to it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the Amazon with Thursday Night Football. It's like eventually everything's going to be just CBS is going to be streaming. Fox, you're going to have a subscription for. It's going to be down the road like that.
Yeah, and back to what you were talking about a second ago. It's like, yeah, this is all really encouraging for the younger fans. It's like, because you and I, we're adults at this point. If I really said, I gotta have that subscription, I gotta have it, I go get it. Wow. You're 7, 8, 9-year-olds. Oh, nah, they don't have, you know what I'm saying? It's just, I'm thankful to have grown up as a younger person who got, I really do the baseball, I really do the college football, I really do the pro football. It's like, I didn't have to battle to get to be a part of it.
Yeah, you just turn your television on, and it was right there for you. You didn't have to go on a million apps, put your credit card in.
From doing this with me that I have the technology skills of like a newborn deer. like, I couldn't do that as a grown adult. I couldn't keep up with half of that shit, let alone as a kid getting interested. I mean, I don't know.
Like the NHL has exclusive games on ESPN Plus. Like,
yeah, and when it's on ESPN Plus half the time, that's like I do have an ESPN Plus. I have it for the most part because I like it for the NFL draft coverage. The Kuipers and McShays and the Jordan Reeds of the world. But I do. I mean, it does have other perks like the stream. Hell, half the time the Braves are on, I'll watch it. They tell me, "Oh, your region, your region is blacked out." I'm like, "What? My region that's 10 minutes from the stadium? I get in my car right now and be there in 15 with a beer in my hand? Like, what?
Yeah.
Do I live too close? Do you think I should? I live so close. You think I should just go to every game almost, but I can't cut it off. It's like, yeah, no, I get that every day. If I had 10 Braves game on ESPN Plus, they're going to let me watch maybe 2 of them.
Yeah, I get the for hockey in the NHL. So I live in Cleveland, Ohio, and they don't let me get the Penguins games, the Sabres games, the Blue Jackets games. They don't give me like anything in the Maple Leafs. They'll all say I'm close to the region. I'm only 7 hours from Toronto, but somehow I'm close.
I know. But that's only just to steer me to have to, like I said, to go get the Bally subscription or something. It's frustrating. It is frustrating. Hell, I'd sit here like I've been that guy for the last like year or two. It's like I'm gonna get like Sunday ticket. I'm gonna get Reds on that. Hell, now if I went to do those, I'm like it'll be by next year. I'm gonna have to get something different.
Yeah, you gotta then you gotta take a loan out to do that. It's like.
And hell, if I'm going to pay this much, if I bought that Valley subscription for the Braves tickets, if my wife was like, "Oh no, I can't watch that," I'd be like, "I got to."
Yeah.
You don't. Oh, I only watch 3-4 games. No, you got to do it. It's like I don't have season tickets to the Braves, for example, because I'm not going to have the availability to get to go to 20-something games. Like my buddy Tom, he goes to 40 games a year. I know I don't get it. It's like with the TV. It's like you better know you can cut it on that much. A guy like me right now, like I said, I'm doing the 5-month-old. There's a lot of nights. It's like, man, you ain't getting to sit down and watch the Braves. I couldn't justify doing it because I'd get to watch it out of 30. Might get to sit down for 10 of them. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it might be a little dramatic, but you get the point.
Yeah, I mean, it's just with all these sports now, it's just, and then, I mean, like to a point, I mean, we've over in Cleveland, we've had like success with the baseball team and stuff like that, and they're still drawing, 10,000 a night, 11,000 a night, and it's just nobody wants to go. I mean, I try to go to a few games a year, but it's just nobody has that appeal anymore to go sit in the ballpark and do it, and I don't blame anybody.
I mean, I'll speak from my perspective. 80% of the reason pulled that number out of my backside. I mean, the Braves, they're doing 20 plus pretty good. I mean, it's packed every night. 80% of that's because of the battery. Because, I mean, the social scene there is wild. I mean, it's really good time, lots of drinking, a lot of bars. I know plenty of people that go for that more so than the baseball. But I had a point with that, and I think I lost. Oh, I was just going to say, also to add to this point, like I said to you, I'm an extremely casual basketball fan, casual beyond words. Very casual hockey guy, very casual. Like if it's on the TNT TV, I cut it on, but I'm not like hardcore. Like like my wife's a huge lifelong Florida Panthers fan, so I'm having some fun with that. We're doing that, but like I really am a college football, pro baseball. That's kind of like my three. Hell, it's even tough for me to be able to keep them do this stuff. Imagine if you were somebody that was a true, like, oh, dude, I got my NBA team, I got my hockey team, I got my baseball team, I got my football team, I got my college football team, I got my college I mean, I'm a Georgia fan. Our basketball program is coming back to life. But, like, that's not something I've really done. Like, you couldn't do it. Even more selective, even more focused. Like I said, leagues that are doing a better job at this, at getting younger viewers, such as the NBA and the NFL, for me, I don't see how that is a positive outlook for the league.
Yeah, I don't. And then you have the people that just don't care, and they want them to come into the ballpark. It's like, why? Like, then they don't care. Like, you're trying to get, and then, you got like a family of 4 these days. It's going to cost you more than you ever can expect to go to these games, and it's just.
It's funny you say. It's kind of like the closest I could relate to that would be the Falcons. I mean, you cut on the Falcons game the last year or two or so. Say we're playing a large national brand where you're going to find fans anywhere. A Cowboys, a Niners, a Steelers. You get the point. It's a home game for them.
Mm-hmm.
Hell, even some of the ones where it wasn't even like the blue blood. A Bucks. God, I'm blanking out. I'm saying even divisional teams like the Panthers, the Saints. It's like, hell, half the time my buddies and I was saying, hell, the crowd's louder for them than us. Well, that's because, hell, the last 5 or 6 years, this team has sucked. It's like it comes to the point. It's like people are tired of that. The least fun thing with that is now they're trying to. I couldn't imagine being a fan of a team that isn't trying. I hung with the Braves through those tough years with Freddie Freeman and the rebuild before we really got this turned around. Some of those 2014, 2015, 2016 kind of teams. I've hung with this post-28-3 era Falcons era, moving on from Dimitroff and Dan Quinn, et cetera. And I've hung with that. I've hung with the Georgia Bulldogs through the damn 8-4, 9-3 Outback Bowl days. But the difference was the next regime, I knew that they were trying. I knew they gave a shit. I don't know how these people do this for a team like the A's that don't try, a team like the Cincinnati Reds that don't try. I know Pittsburgh's having some success this year. They're 23-20 off the top of my head, I believe. So they're kind of turning around. But I mean, that's a team that haven't really tried.
Yeah.
It makes me respect those fans even more, but they're better than me because I don't know how they do it.
Yeah, and especially with like baseball. I mean, it's on you can't get away from it. It's on every night. So if your team stinks, they stink from April to September every single night. Like at least in football, you get one Sunday, you get over it, then you watch them, you get 17 of them. But in here, you get 162.
To be hungover and lick your wounds and go cry about it.
Yeah, here and then it's not like, and then you watch your team plays at 1:00 on a Sunday. Then you got the 4:00 game, but you can watch the 8:00 game. You're really only watching your baseball team. I mean, you're not flipping on, going around the entire MLB because everyone else is playing at the same time as you. So it's like, yeah, and then especially with the A's, they just don't suck. And then they're all right, we're gonna take your team too. So it's like, I don't know what is going to happen. I guess that's another issue with baseball is the tanking thing. I mean, even look at the Tigers. I mean, they've sucked for like 7 years now. It's like, and they still stink. Like, at least the Orioles.
They do have a loyal fan base. That town really does love that team. Hell, and that's the sad thing. The teams that I don't know about the A's. I wouldn't quite put them in the same as the Reds, Pirates, and the Tigers. But it's like those fan bases care. They got. This isn't like you said the Chargers earlier. This isn't like with respect to the LA Chargers. I don't think that's a strong fan base or a strong following of like a bunch of loyal. I mean, if I said this, some Charger person would probably tell me to go F myself, and that's fine. But that makes it even worse. I mean, if you're watching this and you're not an MLB person, you're, say, an NFL person, it's like, that's about like saying, oh, man, the Ravens don't even try. The Bills don't even try. The Steelers don't even try. The Eagles don't even try. I'm talking about in terms of fan bases that you're just like, the Chiefs. Hell, you Browns, man.
Yeah, they didn't try.
But I mean, I'm talking about like, with respect to my Falcons, we've got great fans. Everyone's got great fans. But I'm talking about just the mass of strength, of quality and depth of fans that are either young and starting and developing or oh man, I've been doing this for 40 years. It's like some of those brands I just mentioned are stronger than, say, the Falcons. And if you deny that, you're delusional. Just like from a baseball perspective, if you didn't say that the fan base brand of, say, the Pirates and the Reds is stronger than the A's, you're delusional. That makes it even sadder to me and not fair. And I'll tell you, that was what I was going to say. You were talking about in baseball it being a little more obvious. Hell, in football, you can hide behind some of that because you can hide behind the cap. Everyone's got the same cap. Yeah, you can do bonuses. Yeah, you can. There's ways around. Yeah. I mean, baseball's kind of like golf. That score you post is that score you post. You go out. It's like I remember in high school. The one thing I liked playing on the golf team was I didn't have to do the politics of being on the golf team versus, say, like being on the baseball team. Oh yeah, your dad kissed the coach's ass all week while mine was at work, so you got to play even though I was better than you. You don't do that in golf. It's like if I'm shooting a 77 and you're shooting an 85, your ass is sitting on the bench, bro. Because you can't do that. That's black and white. That's quantitative, not qualitative. With baseball, it's like you can't deny that number when you're looking and saying, oh yeah, we got a $60 million payroll compared to your what we were talking about the AL East, and we talked about the Rays were sitting roughly something about 72 million, and the Orioles sitting at 66 million versus like, and I won't even use the Yankees because the Yankees are the Yankees, they're the biggest spender traditionally. It's like just look at the Blue Jays. For the Blue Jays to be spending like 4 times your pay, you can't hide that. That'd be about like what I just said. Like if you walked in and you told me, oh yeah, the guy that just shot a 90, yeah, we're trotting him out. You shot a 79 today, but we just weren't fit. It's like you can't hide behind that.
Yeah.
You can't tell me you're trying. And I get it. There's different markets. You got a bigger market, say, playing for the New York Yankees than saying you play for the Arizona Diamondbacks. That's understandable. Smaller market team, the Kansas City Royals or something. It's like, but the disparity between, say, 60, 70, 80 million and teams at 200 plus million, you're not trying. Don't tell me you're trying. You're not.
Mm-hmm.
You'd be better than that.
Yeah. Well, you got any more final thoughts?
I don't. I was going to say we should probably wrap it up. We got
Yeah.
rolling real hard tonight.
We're almost at,
because if you didn't, I wouldn't have shut up. So
yeah. We're at the 55-minute mark, so we went a little bit more over, but I mean, get once a week to do this, so
you'll be all right.
Yeah. Well, we're not gonna. We'll be back next week. They won't fire us.
No.
Yeah. But all right. Thanks for tuning in, guys, and we'll be back next Wednesday, and to come back and talk more about Major League Baseball.
And I'm going to have an intro next week. It will not be me introducing us next week. And if I'm wrong next week, give me hell for it.
Yeah.
As always, thanks, Danny. It was great.
All right. Yep. See you.